My name is Brett Douglas with the Peace and Love Reaction Channel, and this video goes out to my friends, my homeboys, my homegirls in Ireland. So I'm a first-year law student. I'm someone that can read people very, very well to tell if they're lying. I can tell if someone's maybe talking 60% less than they usually do, talking 50% faster than they usually do. I can tell when people change their emotions, like in this example. Usually when I'm reacting to Judge Judy, I'm doing it on the spot for the first time. This time I was in my bed listening to a case, and I realized the exact time where this guy starts to lie. Let's see if you guys can see it too.
Are you related to Mr. Jennings?
I am.
How?
He's my cousin.
How?
On our dad's side. So his father and my father. That's how we're related.
How were they related?
So his dad and my father are pretty close in age, but they are cousins themselves. But my dad is pretty young, so they're close. My dad and
A word I'm going to use is credible. And he is extremely credible until he starts to lie.
his father are close in age, so they were more like brothers.
I still don't understand.
My father and his father were first cousins, but I was raised by my grandparents, so that's why we're close.
Okay, so your fathers were first cousins?
Yes.
Okay.
None of this information is important to me, so I blocked it all out. I'm reading people right now. Also, keep in mind, I am a sociopath, psychopath, and a compulsive liar.
Mother passed away.
But a creative genius, and I was going to say child prodigy. I'll just say adult prodigy.
Yes, ma'am.
When?
Mother's Day on 2020.
All right, let's listen to this. Let's bring it back a little bit.
They're close in age, so they were more like brothers.
Watch him.
I still don't understand.
My father and his father were first cousins, but I was raised by my grandparents, so that's why we're close.
Okay, so
Look
your
at him
fathers
now.
were first cousins?
Yes.
Okay. Your mother passed away.
Yes, ma'am.
When?
Mother's Day on 2020.
Were you close to your mother?
Credible. Everything is the truth.
I was very close.
Did you live together?
I was taking care of her for 8 years while she was...
So you were living with her?
Yes, ma'am.
How old was she when she passed away?
58.
What did she pass away from?
Her arteries had blockage. She had surgery twice, and they couldn't do the third surgery.
So this is what you have to do. You have to find what the tendencies are for people when they're telling the truth, to be able to tell when they're lying. So watch him as he tells the truth.
She had 3 strokes.
When you were taking care of your mother, was that a full-time responsibility?
Full-time. She had a colostomy bag, and plus she was in a walker before she had the strokes.
Was it just you and your mother living together?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it in
Right now he's comfortable. Feels like he is in control. Confident.
her home?
It was in my home.
In your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that an apartment?
It was a house.
That you rented?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you and your mother support yourself?
I'm an RF technician, so I worked when I could be away from home, but when she got real bad sick, where she couldn't even walk, I couldn't even work, so I couldn't even go out of town. So
Listen to how he answers the question right away without the slightest hesitation. Now watch for when he does hesitate for the first time. It hasn't happened yet.
I work on the road a lot, and she gets a disability check, which is about $1,800, which wasn't much at all.
He said she gets a disability check, which, means he's still very emotional about his mother dying, and he didn't say she did get. He's saying that she does get. She's still here.
For us to survive.
Are you back at work now?
Yes, ma'am.
Who are you working for?
Myself. I'm a contractor, Extreme Communications.
True.
When your mother passed away, Mr. Jennings, are you an only child?
Yes, ma'am.
She passed away in the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
At that time, you didn't
He's answering right away. Listen to this.
have money for her funeral arrangements.
No, ma'am.
And you didn't
Little hesitation, not yet where we're going to ring the alarm bell on the lie.
have the funds to even take her body out of the hospital.
No, ma'am.
So what did you do?
Well, I thought I had the insurance settlement, and I was going to take care of that, because she did.
He's look at his eyes. He's nervous. They're cross-eyed a little.
Did have 2 burial plots, but when we went to...
Who's we?
Me and Angela.
Who is Angela?
She's my fiance. But when we went up there we've got 2 burial plots. When we went there to turn those
Back in control.
mortuary, they added on $10,000 or $15,000 to actually bury her, and I was unable to do that because her insurance had lapsed 2 or 3 months.
So you didn't have money to take care of your mother's funeral expenses.
It's okay now.
Do you want to tell me how the plaintiff got involved with that?
I told Tracy exactly
No.
what. Yes.
At some
Now he's trying to go into his pre-planned story. She's not going to allow that. She needs to be the one in control.
point, your mother passed away on Mother's Day in 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you contact Miss Spencer or did she contact you?
She contacted me
When?
during the process of me suffering because I didn't have the cash to front my mother's funeral.
Well, it's hard for me to ask the question, how did she know about that? But
Yes, ma'am.
were there other relatives?
I was posting things on Facebook.
Okay.
That's
So
how
what
she
did you
found it.
post on Facebook?
That I was trying to do a GoFundMe to help with my mother's funeral.
And how much after?
Ooh, he sounded. Do you see how his voice kind of faded away at the end? He's not being 100% honest now. He knows that he's talking about an area, the GoFundMe, where he's probably in the wrong. So he feels bad. And he has a sign, he has a tell where he feels bad that he's not being 100% honest. It's I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a guilty voice. Let's listen more.
After she died, did you post something on Facebook?
Nothing much, not at all.
A day, 2 days?
About 3 or 4 days after.
Did you see that?
That's honest.
Is that why you contacted him?
That is not why I contacted him.
Okay, so why don't you tell me why? That's not what you said in your papers. So I'm curious. Why did you contact him?
So I was thinking as I'm laying in my bed, I'm like, he is just a nice man, a credible man. He's still a nice, credible man, but he's about to dip into lie gunk.
As he said, his mother had been sick for quite some time, so her death wasn't completely unexpected. We had been following her progression on Facebook, and Chris is correct. He had been taking care of his mother. They were very close. But when the family saw on Facebook that
She's very credible, and when someone that's on trial, on the stand, admits someone was right when they said something, I think it goes towards their credibility, because then it's not just have to win this case, I have to win this argument.
he had passed, nothing got posted about funeral arrangements. And some of the members of my family
Hearsay, but
who were not on Facebook contacted me and said,
Don't tell me what they said to you.
there you go.
So you were contacted by members of your family.
And what'd you
correct,
do?
that are not on Facebook,
Okay.
asking about care.
Don't tell me what they
I'm
asked.
sorry.
Exactly.
As a result of those conversations, did you contact him?
Eventually, I did not contact him immediately because I just didn't feel like it was the right time. I knew
When?
Ooh, look at that face. He feels bad. He's a good man.
I
Was
would.
it in June?
So it was right after her passing. I contacted his stepbrother.
This video is sponsored by my book coming out in 2025. We're all naturally selfish.
And stepsister first, because when I had not seen anything for 3 days about funeral arrangements, rather than calling Chris, who I knew would have his hands full handling matters, I actually contacted his stepbrother and stepsister.
What did
and
you
I
do?
said,
This is hearsay.
Do you know anything about funeral arrangements?
Nobody did.
And so they didn't know anything. And
What did you
I
do?
suggested that I reach out to Chris. I said, well, I hate to do that. This is a really bad time, but I did it anyway. And so
Feels
I
bad.
called Chris and I said, Chris, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're going through a lot, but some people are asking me about your mother's arrangements and I don't know what to tell them. It's been several days. Have you picked out a mortuary? And he started crying immediately, understandably so. He said, Tracy, I'll be honest with you. I don't even have the money to get her out of the hospital. He said, it's
She's being 100% honest.
going to cost $500 to get her out. I said, okay. And I believed without a shadow of a doubt that he truly didn't have the money because they had a very tight relationship. So there was no question in my mind if he had the $500 to get.
All this is going to make him feel really bad. Let's see how bad it makes him feel with his look right now. That's why I'm asking you guys to go deep into people Like, if you go deep into her right there, she is a zombie for the truth. Look at how honest she's being right now.
Get her out. He would have. I said, Chris, it's okay. I'll loan you the money.
She's looking right at Judge Judy. Not sometimes when you lie, you look to the side, you look down, you look up.
Call the hospital. I'll take care of it. Just calm down. And so we hung up. I called the hospital and I told them, I said, I'm not next of kin, but
Look at those eyes. He's feeling bad.
I'm going to take care of this matter on behalf of my cousin. So,
See, he's looking down. He's not happy with himself.
So here's my credit card for $500. And the morgue told me that I couldn't pay $500, that was only their portion of having her body released from the morgue, that they could only send her body to a funeral home.
They have to send it someplace. If they're releasing it, they have to send it someplace.
Correct. They said that she had been there for so long that she needed to go within the next day because they can only stay there for 5 days. And
Got it.
Sorry. Okay. So they said she needs to go now. And if you don't come get her or have a funeral home come get her, we're going to have to send her to Spartanburg County and they're going to be in charge of her remains. And the next of kin is at risk of being arrested for abandonment. And so I freaked out. I called Chris.
So Judge Judy's going to ask Sarah to look up if that law is true, because if that law is true, then her hearsay evidence right there, it goes towards her credibility that that's exactly what was said and pretty much exactly what the story is.
Chris back. I said, Chris, I said, it's not $500. I said, they're not going to let us get her. And do you know you're close to being arrested? And,
No.
you know, I felt really bad about that.
Where do you live?
Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Just take a look and see if you can find out.
Sarah is going to be the next Judge Judy. She's going to be a hell of a judge. Sarah, if you're watching this, I'm disabled. I actually legally died, and so I got a different way to look at life. I would love to interview you and meet you.
Out. Next of kin.
I've seen over 10,000 hours of Judge Judy. Did I make that number off the top of my head? Yeah, I did. I'm a compulsive liar, but also a genius.
Responsibility. I'm surprised that you were given that information from the hospital.
That was
I may be
from the
wrong.
morgue.
about that.
Yes. So I called.
He just said I didn't hear anything about that. So that could easily solve the case right here. Judge Judy is able to take all the other information given and rule the right way without that. But if she needed that, that would have been the straw that drew the camel's back.
Chris, and I said, the morgue is not going to let us get her body without a funeral home. Do you have a funeral home picked out? And I think at that time he said he didn't. And so he made some phone calls, Chris did, and then he called me back.
That look he just did was she's not being 100% honest and he's not happy. But he doesn't butt in and say that's not true. Like a lot of the plaintiffs and defendants.
And he said, I found a mortuary. And so the mortuary that he selected was the one that ended up taking care of her remains. And so instead of me loaning him $500 to get her released from the hospital, I ended up getting stuck with $1,500.
I mean, this is an easy case. He's been in charge of his mom. He even did a GoFundMe and didn't give her the $203 that he made from that, which was, not cool. But, GoFundMe goes towards helping the family. He's responsible for this. This is an easy case when it comes to legal terms. But the fact that we're going to see the point where he starts lying, and what he does when he lies is what we're watching.
I had to pay the mortuary.
Okay. He found a mortuary.
Yes, ma'am.
When you called the mortuary, did they tell you what it would cost?
I didn't call the mortuary.
Do you hear? He's, for the first time, whispering. I didn't call He's whispering, he's softer, and he's unsure. He's not confident like he was.
To find out anything about that, she did. And she agreed to pay everything.
No, just a second. I'm not.
Did you hear that? This is the point where he starts lying.
Getting there.
Yes, ma'am.
Not there yet.
Yes, ma'am.
So the question is, did you call the mortuary?
And there's a hesitation that a lot of the humans, their ears can't tell, but it's a 0.25% hesitation. Listen to when he gets a question.
Mortuary.
I called them to see.
Not that time, but his eyes are closed. He's looking down. He looks guilty and nervous.
If they could take care of my mother.
That's what I asked you.
You can't, if you're lying to someone, unless you're a sociopath, you can't look them in the eyes for a long time without looking away.
Said, did you call the mortuary?
Yes, ma'am.
And after you spoke to the mortuary,
He's trying to be confident, trying to lie.
Back.
Sure did.
Okay. When you called the
No hesitation
mortuary
there.
and she had already told you it would be $500 to get your mother's remains
Unsure
from
of
the morgue,
himself.
but then you had to take her remains someplace. You couldn't take them in your car.
Right.
They had to go someplace.
Yes, ma'am.
And common sense would...
It's all starting to get to him. Hearing your situation, your story, and sometimes you realize that you're in the wrong right on the spot. And I hear that in his voice. I see that in his eyes. He's a good man.
suggest that you would ask what their cost was, what their fee was. Is not an answer.
For cremation.
For whatever. And they told you it was how much?
They told me for the cremation, it was about $1,500 for cremation.
Okay. And then you called your cousin back.
Yes.
And let me hear the conversation, as you recall it, between yourself and your cousin.
Okay. I called her back and told her that I didn't have the money to take care of that. She goes, "Don't worry about it, Chris. I'll take care of it." It's exactly what was said.
Now,
Look at that. Look at his eyes. He was able to say that without the hesitation, without, he was even confident, but a lot of times you'll see someone's true intention right after they say something. That right there was not the truth.
was that before or after you set up a GoFundMe page?
That was before.
So she
Confused. He's trying to say the right answer that Judge Judy wants, that he thinks she wants to hear. Even if you got a story and you're lying, you gotta go with one thing. You do not want to. He's actually harder to read than I thought, but I'm really doing the after the sentence zoom in, and you're able to tell he's lying.
took care of the bill.
Yes.
So this was 5 days after your mother's death? Shh.
Yeah.
You said it was after. Now, so it was 5 or 6 days before your mother's body was taken to the funeral home for the purposes of cremation. How many days after that did you start a GoFundMe page?
A couple days.
2 days. And what was the language in the GoFundMe page?
To help take
Wow, 75.75 hesitation there. He's toast, y'all.
care of my mother's funeral.
Well,
And
well, shh, Mr. Jennings, if what you just said to me previously,
A lot of times when you're lying, you kind of try to keep the same face, and he's got a tilt that he's trying to stick.
was, read back to me, Whitney, what Mr. Jennings said about the
Zoom in on
conversation
him.
that he had with her.
Zoom in on
It
him right
started
now.
with, "Don't worry about it."
He said, okay, I called her back and told her that I didn't have the money to take care of that. She said, don't worry about it, Chris. I'll take care of it. That's exactly what was said.
Okay, good. So if she said she would take care of it, why would you post?
That's a lie. That, I think, was his biggest lie, where he said, don't worry. He said that she said, don't worry, I'll take care of it.
Care of that. She said, don't worry about it, Chris. I'll take care of it. That's exactly what was said.
Okay,
That's exactly what was said.
good. So if she said she would take care of it, why would you post an outcry for money?
A lot of times you'll see little nods.
From strangers to bury your mother.
to go during the process of getting that money.
Big hesitation there.
Is exactly.
No. Let's follow what you said.
Confident things like
Mr.
this.
Jennings, what you told me was that you had the conversation, she took care of the bill, 2 or 3 days later, you started a GoFundMe page for your mother's funeral expenses. Is that not?
When did you give the money to the plaintiff? Because if you started a GoFundMe and you only got $50, give it to the girl. Don't you guys think if he was going to give her $50 a month, she would not have took him to court? The fact that he's lying and saying that she said, "Oh, it's $15, but I'll take care of it. Don't worry." She's very, very credible. I think there's one time I catch her in a lie, but let's see.
What he said.
Yes.
If it was a gift to you, I'm not understanding
Why would you start a GoFundMe?
why you would start a GoFundMe page.
It's because it wasn't taken care of within 2 or 3 days, ma'am.
What do you mean it was?
Okay, now he's gone. It wasn't taken care of within 2 or 3 days. He doesn't know if he's saying 2 or 3 days after she died. He told Judge Judy that 4 or 5 days went by before she called the morgue and found out that she had to pay that money. And then he said that 2 or 3 days after that, he started the GoFundMe. Now he's saying that the GoFundMe might have started 2 or 3 days after the death. He's toast.
Wasn't take care.
She didn't pay the bill within 2 or 3 days is the thing. That's the reason I did that.
It's all blown up. And look at the face, everybody. That is a man that feels bad. There's a lot of people that will come on this show, be in a court and lie and not feel bad. But this is not one of those men. He is a good man.
Well, they wouldn't release the body unless they got paid with a credit card.
I understand that, but I was trying
Just
to
a
have
second.
backup.
A backup for what?
Just in case you didn't
hey,
fall through.
Mr. Jennings, now you're getting cute with me.
No, ma'am.
Now you're getting cute with me.
And later today,
He said to you,
I need to borrow $2,300.
and you said to him,
Why can't you ask anybody else?
and he said to you,
His girlfriend's father, if he were to ask him, he would pry and find out
They all look like liars to me. Maybe we'll check that out together sometime.
that he was addicted to cocaine.
Ooh, it's getting interesting. Let's finish this case, though, everybody. I actually was invited to come on this show. I'll tell the story sometime. Please hit the subscribe button, like this video, and join my cult.
Tracy Jennings Spencer says her cousin, Chris Jennings, owes for a loan to cover his mother's funeral costs. Chris claims it was a gift.
now, the plaintiff had to give the hospital her credit card. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So before they released the body, which they had to do within a day, they had her credit card. And it wasn't until after that that you started a GoFundMe page. Okay. And don't raise your hand. And how much money did you receive
He is getting cute here. He's getting a little cocky for the first time. I don't like it.
from this GoFundMe page?
Like $200
Okay.
When did
and
you
you
give it to her?
received $200 within what period of time?
within probably 3 weeks.
How much of that $200 did you give to Miss Spencer?
0.
And you
Judgment for the plaintiff at the amount of $1,500.
Your total cost was $1,500. Is that correct? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I'm very pleased that she saw what really did happen.
I think everything went exactly as planned.
I tried to step up in a time of desperation and an emergency
Exactly as planned. He knew that he owed her the money.
situation, and look where it got me.
Everything's fine.
I think we'll be able to move past. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still my cousin, he's still my blood, and I'm always going to love him.
I actually didn't need the answer to that question that I threw out at you with regard to whether a child is responsible for the remains of their parent, because it was just clear, when you get them to do a time
It was probably the clearest case I might have seen ever on Judy Justice.
line for you.
A lot of stuff unravels.
Yeah, it all unraveled because what was the reason for starting a GoFundMe page if, as he alleged in his answer, she volunteered to pay for the funeral?
Exactly. If it was a gift, everything was taken care of. Now, there's probably other stuff that that he wanted, but I don't think he started the GoFundMe in a with bad intentions.
Unless he felt an obligation. Now, the obligation had to be as a result of that conversation that he would start a GoFundMe page. Anyway, unfortunate that she seemed like a very nice lady, very responsible. And
him too, but she was just credible the entire case.
Very caring towards him.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have ended up here.
Yep, it should have ended up here. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brett Douglas, Brett the Wolfman. I'm a pro wrestler. Also, I'm in the music industry. I break down music, my other reactions. But I'm going to be reacting to all kinds of things. And tell me what you think. I know we're going to get a lot of comments. Oh, you pause too much. You pause too much. Well, then frickin' watch the actual episode. But peace and love, everyone. Please like and subscribe. And remember, there's no reason that us as humans should be fighting with each other. Okay? Together, we can make this world better forever.